Good evening. An extraordinary 24 hours in politics. Across our region, still plenty of blue, but some surprises in the southeast. This was the political map yesterday, with just Brighton and Hove bucking the trend. But some dramatic results put other colours on the map overnight, as Labour, the Greens and the Lib Dems all celebrated victories. Our political correspondent Phil Hornby sends this from Downing Street.
Yes, this was a terrible night for the Conservatives, which nobody saw coming. Most Tories I spoke to in our region thought they were going to walk this election, and it just didn't happen. So what went wrong for the Tories? Well, this was meant to be the Brexit election, but Brexit was hardly mentioned at all during the campaign. Instead, it was things like social care and tuition fees and police cuts, and all those issues seemed to play to the advantage of Labour and to the disadvantage of Mrs May. So tonight, instead of heading a government with a big majority, she's leading a minority government, and she's had to cobble together a deal with Northern Ireland MPs to try to get a majority in the House of Commons. Now, she's confident that that government can last the full 5 years, but I've not met anybody here at Westminster today who thinks that will happen. Many people have said that Theresa May is a safe pair of hands, very careful, doesn't take risks. Well, this was a spectacular gamble, and it's a gamble that has backfired.
Phil Hornby there. Well, let's start our focus at one of those opposition gains. First to Canterbury and Ian McBride.
It was one of the biggest shocks on a night of high drama.
And I do hereby declare that Rosemary Clare Duffield is duly elected Member of Parliament for the State.
After nearly 100 years of Conservative dominance, Canterbury elected a Labour MP, the first one since Major Francis Bennett Goldney.
I can't believe it. It's thanks to young people in Canterbury, it's thanks to the students and the people that wanted a change here. We've made history, 160 years of Conservatism in this county. We needed to change, and we did. We've done it.
The Students' Union at the University of Kent campaigned not only to encourage undergraduates to register to vote, but also to get out on the day and use it.
I actually think, given the results, that it has been massively influential. The student vote has swayed this election. It was obviously by a very tight margin, but that 180 votes has made the difference. And I do think that the union had a big part to play in that.
And this political expert from the university has no doubt of the influence of the student vote.
I think it's the increase in the electorate. It's increased by 10%, mainly the student vote. So that was really important. The other kind of important aspect is that people were searching for a party for the anti-Tory vote, and they settled on the Labour Party.
So what were the issues for students here?
I just wanted to see that Brexit would be carried out securely.
The tuition fees mainly, because obviously Theresa May is looking to rise them.
Mainly the sustainability with Brexit and stuff like that, because of jobs and prospects when I graduate.
The social care policy, funding for the NHS.
Obviously do what's best for the country when it comes to Brexit.
So after 99 years as a true blue stronghold, Canterbury is now flying the red flag of Labour, and there's little doubt of the significance of the student vote. Ian McBride, ITV News, Canterbury.
But it wasn't just Labour. The Lib Dems pulled off a big win too in Sussex. Eastbourne has bounced between the Liberal Democrats and the Conservatives for more than 25 years. Last night it was the turn of Stephen Lloyd. He lost the seat 2 years ago. Last night he won it back, as Derek Johnson explains.
Stephen Anthony Christopher Lloyd, Liberal Democrat, 26,900.
His slogan was "Back Eastbourne," and now he's back. Ousted by the Tories' Caroline Ansell 2 years ago, Lib Dem's Stephen Lloyd defeated her this time round.
I'm so proud of this town. I'm so privileged to be re-elected on their behalf, and I'm going to work really, really hard, as they know I will. They know I always put the town ahead of party politics, and they knew that I'd be here and ready to fight for them.
Well done, guys. Well done, guys.
Praise today for the comeback kid from the party leader.
In Stephen Lloyd, we welcome back a force of nature, a brilliant campaigner and a loyal servant to his constituents.
Caroline Ansell herself vowed to return, smiling in defeat. This is what happened when our reporter asked her for an interview after the count.
Ansell, did you make any
In the calm of the town centre, we asked why Eastbourne voted the way it did.
Stephen Lloyd is very good for this town. He loves the town, he works hard.
He just unfortunately, the last time was more majority, but I think he's a very, very good, he'd be a very good MP.
People like myself who would normally vote Green or Labour decided to vote tactically. They therefore voted for Stephen Lloyd as the best option, and we knew very well that there would be a very close result.
We're all responsible for our local election here, and I think the people of Eastbourne have turned against a lady who was a very, very good MP.
Welcome success by the seaside then for the Lib Dems, who campaigned hard to win this seat. But Stephen Lloyd, ever since he was defeated, remained actively engaged in local affairs here, leading some to quip that the town had 2 MPs. This may be a case of people voting for a person as much as for a party. Derek Johnson, ITV News, Eastbourne.
And further west along the coast, and even more surprises. Many predicted the Tories would struggle in Brighton and Hove, but no one really forecast to what extent Labour and the Greens would romp home. 3 seats, all once marginal, now look safe opposition territory. Tom Savides has our report.
A Labour landslide in Brighton and Hove. The city now has 2 Labour MPs. In Brighton, Kemp Town, Lloyd Russell Moyle swept aside Conservative Simon Kirby, taking the seat with a majority of almost 10,000.
We've got a hospital in special measures, an ambulance trust in special measures, an NHS that has been decimated by the cuts and the division of this Conservative Party.
Peter Kyle, Labour Party, 36,942.
In nearby Hove, Peter Kyle convincingly saw off a Tory attack, increasing his majority from just over 1,000 to almost 19,000.
I know that residents want politicians to fully understand the anger they feel about the cuts to our local schools. They want us to share their anger for the impact it will have on our young people's future as they enter an increasingly uncertain world.
Wherever they looked, the Tories were seeing red.
To every person who voted Conservative, thank you so much for your faith in our party.
The city of Brighton and Hove is now a Tory-free zone.
Green Party.
Caroline Lucas held on to Brighton Pavilion as the country's only Green MP.
I think the policies as well that I've been championing in Parliament, whether that's the opposition to an extreme Brexit, whether that's about putting the environment and climate change on the agenda, whether that's about challenging the cuts to local schools, the cuts to the NHS, I think all of that has really resonated with the people of Brighton.
Brighton and Hove may be a seaside resort, but there is nothing blue when it comes to the city's politics. Tom Savides, ITV News.
What an extraordinary day it's been, and there's much more detail and reaction to that election on our website, as well, of course, all the day's other news. Just go to itv.com/Meridian. Now, what does the weekend weather have in store? With all the details tonight, here's Simon Parkin.
It's looking sunny out there. P&O Dover Calais Ferries sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Good evening, and it's always nice to turn up on a Friday with some fairly decent weather for the weekend. Tomorrow is looking like a very lovely day. Plenty of blue sky around, and it'll be warm in that sunshine too. Slightly more tricky come Sunday, and that's because there's a weak weather front sitting out to the west of us, creeping slowly eastwards, not affecting us through tomorrow, hence a nice day. But on Sunday, after a dry and bright start, it may well just bring some extra cloud later on, possibly some patchy light rain too. But fresher behind, so as we move into next week, not feeling quite so warm. Certainly cold isn't an issue overnight tonight. Fair bit of cloud around, some clear spells, and temperatures on the mild side, not really getting below around 13-14 degrees. Now, if you're up very early tomorrow morning, there will be a bit of cloud around first thing, but you can see that that breaks up very quickly. Some decent sunshine developing, and in that sunshine, the temperatures, well, they're just going to keep on creeping up. By the afternoon inland, we're looking at highs of around 21-22 degrees. That's 72 in Fahrenheit. Slightly fresher feel thanks to the sea breezes along the coast, and watch out, UV levels will be high as well. Then on Sunday, a dry and bright start, but there will be some cloud arriving later.
P&O Dover Calais Ferries sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
At least the weather's looking decent for the weekend, and that is all from us for tonight. We are back from 7:30 tomorrow evening, but from me and the team, thanks for your company tonight. Good night.